The light was already on when we opened the basement door. That's the part I can never forget. Not the screaming, not the search parties, not even the police lights flashing across the cornfield that night. Just that single, ordinary bulb glowing in the dark, humming softly, like it was alive. I was 12 the summer my cousin Ryan disappeared. We were staying at my grandparents' farmhouse in rural Illinois, the kind of place that looked peaceful during the day, but turned suffocatingly quiet after sundown. The floors creaked with every step. The walls carried whispers when the wind blew, and the entire house smelled faintly of dust and old rain. That night, there wasn't much to do. The adults had gone into town for groceries, leaving us kids to entertain ourselves. Ryan, my older cousin by 2 years, had the kind of mischievous energy that got us into trouble more than once. He suggested we play hide and seek, lights off, flashlights only. It sounded fun at first. The rules were simple. Stay upstairs or on the main floor. The basement was off limits. Grandpa had warned us 100 times not to go down there. He kept his tools, old wiring, and half the place flooded when it rained. But Ryan always thought rules were made to be tested. I was it, the first round. I counted by the old grandfather clock in the hallway. One of those tall ones with brass hands and a slow, heavy tick. Each number I called out echoed through the empty rooms. 1, 2, 3. By 20, the only sound left was my own breathing and the faint hum of the refrigerator. I searched everywhere, behind doors, under the couch, even in Grandma's sewing room. Everyone turned up except Ryan. At first I laughed. He was good at hiding, always was. But 10 minutes turned to 20, and our laughter started to fade. Then, my cousin Lily said something that made the air in the room go cold. His flashlight's gone. We checked the table where we'd left our stuff. His was missing. That SS when I noticed the faint sound coming from below the floorboards. A kind of dull, rhythmic tapping. Lily whispered, "He didn't go down there, did he?" I shook my head, but my chest already felt tight. Ryan had bragged earlier about how he wasn't scared of the basement, about finding the best hiding spot ever. The basement door sat at the far end of the kitchen, behind the pantry shelves. When we reached it, I noticed something strange. The door wasn't completely shut. A thin sliver of yellow light glowed beneath it, flickering ever so slightly. Grandpa always kept the light off down there, and even if someone had turned it on, we hadn't heard the switch click. "Ryan?" I called softly. No answer. I turned the doorknob. The smell hit me first. Damp earth, metal, and something faintly sour, like rotting wood. The staircase descended into shadow, the bulb at the bottom buzzing weakly. And halfway down the steps, something rolled slowly toward us. It was Ryan's flashlight, still on. The beam from Ryan's flashlight cut through the shadows as it rolled across the concrete floor, spinning lazily until it hit the bottom step and stopped. The light aimed right at the far wall. Lily gasped, grabbing my arm. "Ryan, stop messing around," she said, her voice shaking more than she wanted it to. No reply. I remember taking the first few steps down, the wood groaning beneath my sneakers. The air felt heavier with each breath, colder too, like the kind of chill that seeps through your skin and sits deep in your chest. Every sound echoed. The drip of water, the faint hum of the light bulb, the whisper of wind coming through the cracks in the stone foundation. We reached the bottom. The basement was small, cluttered and half swallowed by shadows. Old furniture draped in white sheets stood in the corners like sleeping figures. The single bulb overhead flickered and hummed, swinging slightly from a frayed cord. "Ryan," I called again. Still nothing. His flashlight beam pointed straight ahead to the far wall where an old wooden cabinet leaned crookedly against the bricks. I walked toward it slowly, my shoes sticking slightly to the damp floor. Each step echoed louder than the last. "Ryan, if you're hiding, it's not funny anymore." I pulled open the cabinet door. Empty, just rusted nails and the smell of mildew. Then, 3 soft taps behind me. I froze. Lily whispered, "Did you hear that?" I nodded, unable to speak. We turned together. Nothing moved, but the light above us flickered again, long enough to throw shadows crawling across the walls. For a split second, one shadow lingered longer than the rest. Taller, thinner, shaped like someone standing perfectly still. The bulb steadied. The shape was gone. Lily started crying quietly. I told her to go back upstairs, but she refused to leave me. So we searched. The workbench, the storage bins, even behind the furnace. No sign of Ryan. Then we noticed something on the floor near the far corner. A wet footprint. It wasn't his shoe size. It was bigger, bare, and it led directly towards the back wall. I lifted the flashlight, shining it across the bricks. That S when we realized part of the wall wasn't too real. A section of plywood roughly nailed over an opening just wide enough for a person to crawl through. "Ryan," I whispered again, my voice barely audible. The plywood rattled just once, like something had moved behind it. Lily screamed, and the bulb above us popped, plunging the basement into complete darkness. For a heartbeat, I could still see the afterimage of the light burned into my vision. That wall, that hole, and something pale moving inside it. Then, silence. Only the slow sound of breathing. And it wasn't ours. That breathing. It was faint but steady, just beyond the plywood wall. Slow, deliberate. Not the nervous, shallow kind a scared kid makes. This was deeper, older. Lily gripped my arm so tight, her nails dug into my skin. "Someone's down here," she whispered. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat felt dry as dust. The flashlight trembled in my hand as I lifted it toward the plywood. Dust floated through the air, drifting across the beam like falling ash. "Ryan," I said again, my voice cracking. Something shifted behind the wood, a dragging sound, like a palm sliding slowly across the wall. Then 3 knocks, soft, measured, right at our height. Lily bolted for the stairs, but I grabbed her wrist. "Wait, he might be..." Before I could finish, a voice came from the other side. It was Ryan's voice, but it didn't sound right. It was muffled, distant, like he was speaking through water. "I'm here." My stomach dropped. That voice was wrong. Every syllable came a half second too late, echoing like it had been rehearsed. Lily turned, tears in her eyes. "Ryan, say something else." Silence. Then, "Come, play." That's when she screamed and ran upstairs. The door slammed behind her, leaving me in that damp darkness with only the dying beam of my flashlight. I don't know what made me stay. Maybe I thought I could actually help him. Maybe I was just too scared to move. I reached out and touched the plywood. It was warm. Something brushed back from the other side. Fingertips. Light but real. Then, a whisper right by my ear. Not from behind the wall. From beside me. "Don't open it. I spun around so fast, the flashlight slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. The beam rolled again, landing on the old cabinet near the stairs, and for a fraction of a second, I saw someone standing behind it. Just a silhouette. Tall, thin, head tilted, like they were watching me. I grabbed the flashlight and stumbled toward the stairs, but halfway up, the light bulb above flickered back on, dim and yellow this time, enough to show me the basement floor one last time. The plywood panel was gone. In its place was a narrow, open crawl space, and from the dark tunnel beyond, a small hand reached out, palm up, like it wanted me to grab it. I froze. It was Ryan's hand. I swear it was. His little wristband with the red stripe was still on it. But as I leaned closer, the hand twitched and bent backward in a way no hand should. Then it slipped back into the dark. The light above popped again. Darkness, silence. I ran. I don't remember how I got upstairs. Just the sound of my heartbeat thudding in my ears, and Lily sobbing in the living room. Our grandparents shouting, the screen door slamming as my uncle ran out to call for Ryan. I tried to explain, but the words tangled in my mouth. There was someone down there, I kept saying, behind the wall. He talked to us. They didn't listen. Nobody ever does in stories like this. Within the hour, the whole house was flooded with flashlights and voices. Police cars lined the driveway. A search team went through the house, then the basement. They found the plywood panel, the crawl space, but it didn't lead anywhere. Just a dead end of packed dirt and stone, and no sign of Ryan. I remember standing at the top of the stairs, watching one of the officers shine his light along the crawl space. He said, "It's been sealed for decades. Looks like part of an old coal chute." But when he turned away, I saw something he didn't. Small scratches along the brick wall, letters carved into the mortar, RYAN. The search went on for days. Dogs, neighbors, the whole town. But nothing. It was like he'd been erased. Eventually, everyone gave up. Everyone except me. For years, I couldn't stop thinking about that basement, about what I'd heard that night. Every time I visited the farmhouse, I'd stare at that door. My grandparents kept it locked now, said it was too dangerous, the floor unstable. But some nights, lying in the guest room above, I'd hear faint tapping from beneath the floorboards. 3 knocks, always the same rhythm. I tried to convince myself it was pipes or old wood shifting. But then, one night when I was 15, I made a mistake. I got up. I went downstairs. The basement light was already on. It cast a yellow glow through the cracks in the door. I swear I could hear someone whispering, not words, but something like laughter, muffled and childlike. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing, just a hum. Then, click. The light switch on the wall flipped off by itself. I backed away, heart pounding, staring into the sudden black crack beneath the door. For a moment, something moved there. A hand, pale and thin, pressing against the gap. Then it slid away, leaving a smear of wet dirt on the tile. That was the last time I ever went near it. But the thing is, the light keeps turning on by itself. Every night around 9:17 p.m. Same time Ryan disappeared. I'm 28 now. My grandparents passed away a few years back, and the farmhouse was left to my mom. She refuses to sell it. Says it's part of family history, but every time I visit, that place feels like it's waiting. The basement door still creaks when you touch it. It's still locked, But sometimes, when I'm there alone, I find it cracked open, just enough to see the edge of the first step. The same dim yellow bulb flickers below, humming like a living thing. Last month, I went back to help my mom clean before winter. She'd gone to bed early, so I was downstairs by myself, boxing up old photographs. The power flickered once, then came back. I thought nothing of it until I noticed the faint glow beneath the basement door. The light was on again. For a long time, I just stood there, frozen. It felt like the house itself was holding its breath. Finally, I walked closer. My hand was trembling so badly, I could hear my wedding ring clink against the doorknob. I didn't plan to open it, I just needed to see. I crouched down and peered through the keyhole. At first, all I saw was light, that weak, yellow light bouncing off the concrete floor. Then, as my eyes adjusted, I saw movement. A shape, small, hunched, facing the far wall. For a second, I thought it was a trick of the light, but then it shifted slightly, and I saw it was wearing a red hoodie. Ryan's hoodie. My chest tightened. I wanted to scream, to run, but I couldn't move. I just stayed there, my eye pressed to the cold metal, watching as the figure turned its head slowly toward me. It didn't have a face. Not anymore. Just a blur, like wet clay smeared where the eyes should be. I stumbled back and slammed into the hallway wall. When I looked again through the keyhole, the light was off, pitch black. But from the other side of the door, I heard it. Soft, childlike, just barely audible. Your turn to hide. That's when the bulb upstairs flickered, and the basement knob began to turn. I didn't stay to see what happened next. I bolted out the back door, drove through the night until I reached town. My mom says the power's been fine since, that the light doesn't come on anymore. But she also told me something else, something that's been eating at me ever since. 2 weeks after that night, the neighbor's kid went missing. They found his bike by the edge of our fence, and when the police came to search, my mom said she heard something from the basement. Again, 3 slow knocks.